Mm. Apparently this is day 41. I've recounted. I've been counting incorrectly. So, the last couple of days have been quite interesting actually, because, well, the whole week's been interesting, come to think of it. So I had the chemo, as you know, last Monday. I had a horrible moment when I thought, that's it, I'm going to die, before they gave me the atropine drug. Went to the funeral on Wednesday with the chemo bottle attached to me. But hey, it went with the dress actually. It's a blue strap and a blue bottle holder. So it went with the blue dress. So except for the little wire sticking out. You might have thought, what's that thing strapped across her? Anyway, taking the bottle off, as you've seen from the video, became an issue actually, because on Thursday morning after the funeral, the district nurse did turn up, but she turned up to flush my PICC line, which is here, which is where the chemo is attached to, and but not to remove the chemo bottle. And that's apparently because Luton, in their absolute wisdom, seem to think that you should get up out of your bed and come to vestry close or something and get your chemo bottle removed. So what's the point of having a district nurse service? Anyway, plus, which is not what Dunstable think. Dunstable do their job properly and send their district nurses to their cancer patients to remove the chemo bottle. So, I'm sure it'll be interesting to see how this goes. However, I will go through the proper channels before kicking up a stink. So I have written to my clinical lead and said, this is what happened on Thursday morning. And she rang me back and said, I'm absolutely shocked because I have an email from Luton confirming that they will remove the chemo bottle. So now I'm going to go back to them and go, what the hell? At the same time, I have contacted my GP surgery and said, what the hell? So hopefully with those two approaches, the next time my chemo bottle needs removing, which I'm not absolutely sure of the date, my next chemo is 26th of November. So the bottle will be removed 48 hours after the end of my chemo infusion. So it should be the evening of the 28th. Did you know that the district nurse service is a 24/7 provision? Well, it was back in June. God knows what Luton are bloody doing with it. Yes. So somebody will no doubt be turning up at my house in the evening. Somebody better do, and I don't want to have to go through what I went through in, July, when I had to chase the district nurse service every other day because they kept deliberately, clearly changing the parameters of my service, having agreed and seen and known on email that it was a daily service. Nobody turned up the next day. They went, oh, it's every other day. So then you have to give them a bollocking, remind them the email. Then nobody turns up the day. It says then somebody turns up the next day. Nobody comes the day after that. Why not? Oh, it's once a week. Then you have to change it. You have to give them another bollocking. And then somebody turns up. That person isn't qualified to do the job that they're supposed to come to my house to do. Why is that? Oh, I had the nurse I was talking to told me this, that, and the other. I don't care what the nurse told you. There's papers there that tells you what the job to be done is. So I hope I don't have to go through all of that rubbish like I did in July. And that this is one hiccup and that Luton are going to do the job they're supposed to do. We will see. But as I said, we're approaching it from two different ends and hope that it goes well. So that's the chemo removal thing, because you've all seen probably the video of the removal of the chemo and the nurse training as if she expects lay people to remove chemo bottles. So, God, what has happened to the National Health Service? Anyway, the last couple of days have been a bit of a discovery, because I'm not, Superwoman here is not necessarily reacting the same under the new drug regime as under Jim Sitterben, or how apparently I'm saying that wrong, but anyway, that's what I call it. And life was pretty okay under that. However, today is Tuesday, so on Sunday my heating's been broken, so maybe I haven't been paying attention, but on Sunday, whatever it was I ate, which wasn't that much, I forgot to eat my Creon before eating anything. So in the evening on Sunday, I had quite a lot of stomach disturbance, and it was not great. You feel like somebody's got their hand in your stomach and they go, oh, I think I'm going to rearrange your digestive system. But that was how it felt, and that's fine. Anyway, yesterday I went into the office for the first time in 5 months, I think, pretty much. I probably, working on the Superwoman basis, overdid it. So there was that. Anyway, I was in the office from 1 until 6. Delivered some things to the directors' meeting, but when I had to leave the office, go home, get some paperwork, take it back to the directors' meeting that would be happening in an hour. And when I got to my house, there was lights everywhere, and I'm thinking, what is going on? And I put the key in the door, and clearly the door's been opened. It's not locked. So, and I open the door, and I'm pushing against something, I don't know what. And I open the door, and I'm just going, hello, hello, hello. And there's people all over the place. And eventually, these people realise that I'm here. They're going, oh! So I just backed away, basically. They had Christmas thingies on top of their heads, and clearly I wasn't supposed to be there, and I just backed away and said, I have to go to a meeting. I'll be back in half an hour. And then I backed away. I don't know. Anyway, I did what I had to do, and then I did something else, which kind of messed them up a bit, because they wanted me back in the house. And I wonder if you could hear that. I was elsewhere, so they were like, drive back, people are leaving now, come on. So I thought, no, they're not. But I'm driving back now anyway. So when I got home, my lovely friends had organised a surprise, or some of my lovely friends had organised a surprise party for me with a surprise Christmas tree, because they knew that I didn't have one, and they know that that's my thing. I love my Christmas tree, and I'm always the first person anyone knows to have all the Christmas decks up. And my Christmas decks are up, but I didn't have a tree. And I had been promised one elsewhere, but was waiting for that. And in the hopes that that would come. But they beat him to it and produced this absolutely lovely tree. And I don't know what make it is or how you put it up. Getting it down will be interesting. I think I'll need some help. But they bought me the most beautiful Christmas tree. And thank goodness it's not a real one. Did that last year. I'm not impressed. So, so today I'll put the lights on it and we'll see. However, alongside that little party, there was mince pies, vegan patties. I can't even remember what else. There was food all over the place. And alcohol, because I have like 5-litre vats of rum punch in my house. So I got a glass of rum punch given to me, some vegan patties, and then I could spot other things I wanted to have. However, brain did not engage. Never thought, because when I'd had breakfast, and I think I only had cereal, and I'd forgotten to take the crayon with the cereal. Hadn't had much consequence to that, really, except going, doom. So anyway, so I'm eating all these lovely things. However, within about, well, actually, within about less than an hour of eating these things, I began to feel very tired, actually. I began to feel very exhausted, it has to be said. And, all power to my friends. They could see, actually, that this was probably the extent of my day that I could take, and that, I'd gone to the office, I'd worked, and now I was having a party, and it was all probably, I'd reached a limit. So they saw that pretty quick. They washed up everything, and organised themselves. And to tell the truth, everyone was out of the house except my girlfriend Karen, who's staying with me tonight or last night. And they were out the house by 9. But by the time they were leaving, I was really flagging. Like, I felt so completely exhausted, and I couldn't understand why. But as the last of them left, my stomach started to talk to me. And basically, it felt like there were 14 people in there, not even rerouting my digestive system, just causing chaos and punching holes in it. And I could barely drag myself up the stairs. And then when I dragged myself up the stairs, the noise that are coming out of me, by the way, there was just one just now, is astonishing. It's like some kind of machine gun factory. There's an amazing amount of wind trying to come out, but not making it really. And then when it did come out, it sorry to be graphic, but there's a slimming drug that they have that when you take it, your fat turns to oil, and so there's a specific smell, and you get very oily discharge. And basically, I had orange oily foam coming out of me for about the next 2 hours whenever I made an attempt to go to the toilet, and there was definitely diarrhea in orange foam form. I have no idea what that's about, and I can only assume that that's a consequence of the rerouting, No. Why would the rerouting of my bile ducts bring that about? I've no idea. No, it's not the rerouting of my bowel, it's the rerouting of my bile. Two different things. But that was an experience last night. So clearly, not having my Creon before eating anything at all under this 3-drug regime is a completely different situation to having it under the 1-drug regime. To tell the truth, I never really want to go through last night again. Eventually, I said to Karen if she could make me like a cup of hot water with lemon, and by the time I'd drunk half of that, I think it eased some of the symptoms, but by then I'd been suffering for about 2.5, 3 hours. So what I would say is that was a valuable lesson. I was exhausted. I couldn't barely hold myself up. I don't know what that was about, really, because as you all know, I'm in and out of my car, up and down, everywhere, all the time, and yet I could barely hold myself together. Karen didn't know what to do with herself, poor thing. She's sitting watching, saying, "What can I do? What can I do?" But it just had to pass. I knew it wasn't life-threatening or anything, so it just had to pass. And whatever this wind, but I think I learned a valuable lesson. I'm not sure that I could ever now forget my Creon, because I don't want to go through that every night. So that a valuable lesson was learned from that, and I will. I got up really at crack of dawn this morning because something woke me up, and I remembered that the shopping was in the back of the car, so I went outside and got the shopping. And I thought, I'm going to eat one of these Cox's apples that I've bought. And I took my Creon with the Cox's apple. Having said that, I took one Creon, and it was a 25,000, and quite frankly, it could have been a 10,000. So that's another lesson learned. But my stomach isn't exactly happy with that either. I only ate half the apple. And my stomach has made some interesting noises this morning. So I think I have to double down on how I'm eating, what I'm eating, and making sure that I take my medication with it, because clearly there are more consequences under this 3-drug regime than under the 1-drug regime. So it's all a learning phase, and this is what I was saying to Kaz last night. It's all a learning phase. I'm learning there are consequences to the things that I do. Yes, I'm Superwoman, but I'm a Superwoman who fails sometimes, and I failed last night. So lesson learned. I'll stop this one here. Karen made me a care bag, so I'll show you that on the next video. It's very, very thoughtful, actually, everything she's done on that bag. I'll show you the bag, and I can't remember what else I've got to do. We'll see what Luton Trust sorts out with the district nurses. So, but my next appointment is the 22nd for bloods and 26th for chemo, which is a bit far apart really, but we'll sort that out on my next appointment on the 22nd in terms of dates, because you should either do your bloods on the day of chemo or on the day before, because that's how they decide, one, whether you're going to get chemo, and two, how they're going to mix it up. So have a great day all.